What is the most ridiculous thing, the stupidest thing that you have done whilst drunk? Andrew Maxwell.
All the stupid stuff that actually harmed me rather than harm other people. I tried to do a backflip off a wall in jack boots and a cape. And I attempted it 5 times back to back. And I only ever got like sort of up to there on the wall and then collapsed down because it involves skill. It's not one of those things, it's not something you can just do with gusto and still come out with pass marks. It's not cunnilingus.
No, it's not. It's not that.
What? You know what I'm talking about, ladies. It's mostly enthusiasm. That's what it is. You're showing how enthusiastic you are about the young lady in question. Or older lady if you're into Panthers. Did you know... Yeah, did you know that? There's one up from...
Cougars?
Cougars, yeah.
Bollocks.
It's called a Panther, yeah. Panther's the next one up.
Where'd you get that from?
There's a whole pecking order.
So what's the age bracket of a cougar and the age bracket of a panther?
Well, your cougar is 35 to 45, and then 45 to the grave is a... Sir, I'm not... Hey, hand to God, would I lie to you, Tony? That's a panther.
Stephen K. Amos.
I was very drunk. I was going to a party. You know that thing that Brits do? We drink in our house before we go to a party.
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be any booze there.
Yeah.
Anyway, my friend... Exactly. What's all that about? And I don't know if anyone's ever done this, where the top half of your body is so heavy that it falls over.
Yeah.
So I was running and I fell over, didn't get up. I proceeded to go to the tube station on all fours. Some bloke tried to give me a hand. I gave him £1, going, "Get away, homeless man." I eventually got to the tube station. I don't know how I got home, but I got to my front door and my key suddenly turned into an elastic band. I went like that, and I've got a green hedge by my front door. Yeah. I went like that, went backwards, and there I stayed until the morning.
No, that's good.
In fact, till this day, there is an outline of a man in my hedge. Me.
Alex, you have been in Blur. I mean, fucking hell.
So was I that night.
I mean, when thinking back to the early 90s, signing a record deal is a bit like getting on a transatlantic flight. You know, there's somebody coming around with a trolley of drinks all the time.
Yeah.
The great thing about being drunk is that it sort of gives you the feeling that you're doing stupid things because you're drunk. But I sobered up for a while when I got married and I realised I was just stupid.
Yeah.
I wasn't drunk.
Am I right thinking that you drank a bottle of champagne a day?
3 a day.
3 bottles of champagne a day?
Yeah.
You couldn't do that with rosé, for example.
Oh, no, not rosé. What is rosé? Pick a team. What are you? Are you red wine? Are you white wine? What are you fruity fruit drink? Pick a team. I don't like any wine that needs to be put over ice before it's acceptable.
I know.
And a rosé hangover is murder.
It is murder.
It is brutal.
Alex, come on.
Yeah.
You're a
One
rock
anecdote
god.
of when
Come on.
something happened when you were really messed
Off your
up.
face, you must have done something.
We didn't get banned from that many places, but I was having a really nice time at the Savoy one evening, and I wanted to play the piano as you know, as a drinking gentleman might do, and they wouldn't open it, and I had it, and they were being very nice, saying, "Please don't do that to piano, Mr. James." They were calling me Mr. James, which is always nice, but I ripped open the lid of the piano and played Blue Moon.
And so you broke the lock on it.
It does annoy me when they lock pianos away from drunken people.
It's unnecessary, isn't it?
Drunken shenanigans, right? We've all been there. It's wonderful. It's a release for us, you know? And I think British and Irish people are, you know, just naturally a bit more rowdy than, you know, you've toured around Europe, like anywhere north of the Alps, they're cheeseheads, they're squareheads. Like, they will literally stop and wait to cross the road when there's nothing about. You mean, what are rules for except to be observed and enjoyed? Like, no crack. That said, the stupidest thing I've ever done, and it genuinely is, I'm a snowboarder as well, and the most dangerous thing you can do in the Alps is get drunk and bin bag. Right?
Okay.
It's where you come down, right, you're almost at the bottom of the mountain, and you go for one last après drink. It can be as little as 200 metres before you actually hit the town. You climb into a bin bag. There's a black sack, and you go down the hill, and it goes faster than Jesus off a
Jesus.
I don't know what that's
200 metres down on quite a steep slope.
Yeah, you're literally rubbish in a bag going down a hill. People break it. Seriously.
How do you stop? Because
You
on
can't.
skis and
You can't. There's the natural attrition of the mountain against your bones.
I think you're drunk though. That in a way cushions you against. You don't feel as much pain, do you? So you
don't.
go down.
But then the next day, yes. Or even later, because bone injuries don't take long to remind you.
No,
Like,
that's
hey,
true.
I was a bone. Now I'm 2 bones. Explain yourself, nervous system.
Mine is I presented a live television show, completely drunk. I mean, completely drunk. And I've been out to lunch with television's Tess Daly. And a TV... Yeah, right, a little game show with Tess Daly. How about that? Talking about a new TV show, and it's lunchtime, it's Christmas, and I just got really pissed, and I'm drinking loads of red wine, and I'm in such a terrible state. And they're embarrassed by me. It's just a lunch meeting, and they're just embarrassed. Now, what's wrong with him? Because he's got some sort of problem. So it's a long lunch. At the end of it, they bundle me into a car, and they said, "What are you doing now? You going home to bed?" And I said, "No, I'm going to present a live television programme." And I think that he's delusional. He's delusional. Leave him to it. And I go to the studio, and I'm presenting a show that I'm kind of in charge of, because me and a couple of other guys came up with this idea, and it's called Flipside, and it's on a small little channel. And the idea is there's 1 presenter and 3 guests, and they're looking like I'm drunk now. Look at this.
Are you talking about this evening?
Yeah. I had lunch with Tess today. It's today. I get there and they try and stop me going on air, but because I'm the executive producer, I demand to be put on air. So I'm the presenter. I get there 10 minutes after it started. It's live. There's 3 guests, so they have to get one of the other guests to present the first 10 minutes. I get into a terrible state and completely disruptive. At one point, I go to the loo, not in an ad break. I need to pick a winner from that round from those stories. Falling in a hedge. No. Breaking the piano key lock at the Savoy. Bin bagging. Presenting a TV show Drunk. The winner of that round, ladies and gentlemen, is Andrew Maxwell.
What is the most inappropriate thing you've said or done?
Okay. Rufus, the most inappropriate thing that you've said?
I say inappropriate things all the time because I'm somebody who, if I feel that we're getting along, then part of being a man and having a friend who's a man is the banter backwards and forwards. So men, when they like each other, say, "You big fat wanker," right? That's standard, that's entry level. So the moment that I have met somebody for about 6 minutes and I think we're getting on all right, I will make a deeply inappropriate joke about them. "All right, Macca, so you bought Jake the Peg." You know, whatever it is. but like, so I say inappropriate things all the time like that, and then I realise that the other person doesn't think that we're as close of friends as I've then made the association, and then it gets awkward.
But what I think's bizarre about men meeting each other, and you say you big fat wanker or whatever, so when men see each other in the street or a car, they don't go like that, do they? If they know each other well enough, they go, "Hey!" What's that about? It's pathetic, isn't it? Men are really quite pathetic, aren't they?
Particularly when he's not your mate and you've mistaken it for someone else. You go, "Hey, not you. Oh, it's not Tom."
Oh, no, I'll give you worse than that. Genuinely, in a pub, I went for a wee, came back, and unexpectedly my mate Jim had turned up. And Charlie, if you would mind standing up, because he's definitely Jim, isn't it? Yeah. It's definitely Jim. I walked in, there he is. He hasn't clocked me. Little one of these.
All right, treacle. One of them. So, I kid you not, on the tits. One on the tit, one on the crotch, and then a very, very awkward conversation immediately
But what's yours? Your most inappropriate?
Mine's just like laughing at something I shouldn't have laughed at. We're sitting on St Ives Harbour, and there's an old woman next to me, and then with her husband, and I'm with my wife and son, and we're all having an ice cream, and big seagull. And we've chatted to the woman a bit. Big seagull comes down, nicks the woman's ice cream, and she's like, "Oh!" It was like horrific, massive. So have you seen this? They're massive seagulls. Nick this woman's ice cream, and then shat on her head. Right? It was like a double whammy. I'm like, always nick your ice cream, he shat on your head! Just one would have been funny, but both together, I couldn't, about an hour afterwards, still laughing. That woman! Poor...
I fail to see what's funny about
this. Poor woman. That's the reason I'm fully aware of its inappropriateness. That's a word. It's new. Deal with it. But it was possibly the funniest thing I've ever seen that I should not... You know, when you're at school and your friend's done something brilliant, like, I don't know, stapled something to the teacher and they don't know, or something like that, and you are crying with laughter. It was that sort of laughter. You never laugh like that, like you did at school, ever again in your whole life, until you see an old woman having her ice cream stolen,
the last
and
few
then
ice creams.
it's pooed on her head.
Mine's, well, sort of similar in that it involves giggling and an old woman, but the old woman in my story is dead. Prince Charles caught me laughing at the Queen Mother's funeral.
Oh, good one. Good one. This is good.
Oh, that didn't
I'm with them.
10 years ago! It was the Queen Mother's funeral, and my friend and I were watching it on telly at home in Chiswick in West London. And the motorcade, the cortege leaves, and I realised, hang on, this is like going to come past my house. So I said to my mate, well, you know, we might as well go and watch this. So we went and stood there, and all of a sudden it turns a corner, and I can't believe it. It's coming towards us, and you can see the outriders, then you can just see the hearse and the Queen Mother's coffin. It's driving really slowly. And my friend, Dan, says, why don't you take a picture of me? So I said, all right. I got my camera, and he stood in front of the entire cortege, and I raised the camera up to my eye, and all of a sudden he went like this. And there's only thing you can do is laugh. Yeah. Right? I'm laughing at him, right? I'm laughing at him. And I laugh so hard I can't even press the button to take the picture. And I collapse laughing, and I stand at the side, and I'm like this, and I'm laughing. I thought I was laughing for ages. Ages. I looked up, there was Prince Charles right there, going past in the car behind, looking right at me. And you know how you can sometimes turn a laugh into a pretend cry. Let's pick a winner. Who's won that? I mean, my story.
I think your story was pretty good.
Oh no, your story had it all.
Yeah, had everything.
It got booed.
Yeah.
It got booed.
That doesn't mean people didn't enjoy it. That just meant they felt guilty enough to pretend they weren't enjoying it.
In that case, I am the winner of the...
My topic is, what's the most embarrassing celebrity encounter you have ever had?
Charlie, why don't we start with...
I once did a charity thing, and in the audience was Brian May from Queen. Afterwards, after we'd all done a thing and was like shaking hands and well done, and we were like, oh, brilliant, this is Brian May. And I got talking to Brian May, right? And I was like, this is brilliant. I'm having a chat to Brian May. This is a marvellous turn of events. So I got my mum, and she'd had a few glasses of wine, probably a bottle by this point. And she came over, and I said, oh, Brian, this is my mum, Carol. Mum, this is Brian May from Queen. And she went, oh, Queen. Wasn't it a shame when Freddie Mercury died? And he looked at my mum and went, yeah. Of course it's sad. His main source of income's disappeared. You know.
Imagine if he said it wasn't.
It's like, I don't know, 5 Live going out of business, Richard. I mean, what, you'd be fucked, to be honest.
What about if 5 Live and ITV4 went down at the same time?
Oh, it'd be like a nightmare.
Danny Wallace.
Yes.
Yes, your most embarrassing celebrity encounter.
I moved house recently, and it became very apparent very quickly that I must have moved very, very close indeed to TV's Sue Pollard. Because suddenly I would see Sue Pollard everywhere I went. I'd see Sue Pollard, the newsagent. I'd see her walking down the street. She's an icon of mine. Growing up, it was all about Sue Pollard and Heidi High and You Rang My Lord, all that kind of stuff. And if I could have told the 1980s me that one day I'd be walking around London all footloose and fancy-free, bumping into Sue Pollard left, right and centre, my head would have exploded. So I wanted to talk to her one day. And one day I was in the newsagent at the end of the road. And she was in there, in sort of leopard skin and all that kind of stuff, dressed up as Sue Pollard, which I think she does every day, which is part of the contract she signed with herself when she did it. And she was just finishing telling an old man that she was going to be on the Paul O'Grady pretty soon, which is weird because he had definitely not asked that. But she said that anyway. And then she turned around and she saw that I was carrying a tabloid newspaper and a broadsheet and she sort of smiled at me and she went, "Oh, you like a bit of rubbish with the news?" And we both chuckled. And I wanted to say something, but that was it. She was gone, a whirlwind, and that was it. And she walked down the street and she was waving at people and this and that, and everyone seemed to know her. And I thought, I want to know her. And so I was catching up. I was gaining on Sue Pollard. And I'm getting her. I'm thinking, what will I say? What will I say if I do? And at that moment, I look up and she's bent down near a tree. And she's just there. She's bent down. So now I'm nearly upon her. And I think, well, this is it. And as I sort of lose my nerve and I round Sue Pollard, and she looks up at me, and Sue Pollard is picking up a penny, right, off the ground. Now, I don't know, it might just be a habit or something like that, you know. I do it as well, lucky pennies, that kind of thing. And she saw me, and we locked eyes, and she knew that I'd seen that she was picking up this penny. And she said, "Find a penny, pick it up, and all that day you'll have good luck." And then, out of instinct, I just instantly said, "Give that penny to a friend, and then your luck will never end." And Sue Pollard looked at the penny, and she looked at me, and she begrudgingly shuffled over and gave it to me and said, "I didn't know it ended like that." So I essentially robbed Sue Pollard the first time I ever met her.
My most embarrassing celebrity story involves a more elderly member of the Coronation Street cast.
Oh.
I used to be a Blue Peter presenter, Danny. And, yeah, we won an award at the National TV Awards one night, and we went back to a hotel in Kensington. Bit of a party, you know, big fun party. And towards the end of the party, the more elderly member, female member of the Coronation Street cast said to me, "Hey, the party's going to carry on in my bedroom. Why don't you come up with me?" Now, I was only 21. I was quite naive. I didn't realise that was a metaphor for something. I thought, oh, literally, the party is carrying on. A bit weird, but the party's carrying on specifically in her bedroom. And so we got in the lift together. Now, it was just sort of me and her in the lift. And then she opened her bedroom door, put the card thing in, opened it. There's no one else in there. And I thought, well, you know, surely some other people are going to turn up in a minute. And then she started to take her clothes off. And I'm really naive. And she gets down to her underwear. And I just think, well, probably what she's doing is she's changing into another outfit for this second phase of the party.
A dinner party dress.
Well, no, she's peeing, the bra came off onto the floor, knickers off, down. She's now, this more elderly member of the Coronation Street cast.
Who was it?
Now,
Was it Alf Roberts?
now she's naked, and even at the young 21-year-old me realises, OK, something's going on here. And then she lay on the bed and she said something like, "Come on in, the water's lovely."
No.
Now, that water didn't look...
No.
It looked like it needed changing, if anything.
I can't swim. I can't swim.
So I'm standing there like the bloke out of, you know, The Graduate.
This sounds a dreadful story.
Yeah, isn't it? It is truly embarrassing. Yeah. And she's there, her legs were open. I'm thinking, right, what the fuck do I do now? And then she put her head on the pillow and she went...
Could have still shagged her if you wanted to. It's okay.
Micky, your most embarrassing celebrity encounter?
The first time I ever met a real celebrity, I was in a pub in the East End of London, which is where I'm from, you might not have noticed. And in came, this was about 1978, 79, Bob Hoskins came in with a cab driver who used to drink in there. And I think Bob had said to him, "Take me to a proper East End boozer for research reasons." Because he wanted to know how to act like an arsehole. But I think he was researching the Long Good Friday.
Yeah.
You know, this was
It's a great film.
So he came in, and we were. This was a proper pub full of faces and gangsters, and you know. And I sort of recognised him. But anyway, he stood there for quite a while, taking drinks off of people. But I don't think he knew that you have to get one yourself. Which is, you know. And I went over and said, "Listen, mate, I don't know who the fuck you are. But you've been taking drinks off everyone. If you don't get a drink in, I think you're going to get a clump or something. You know what I mean?
A what?
Clump.
What's that?
What's that? Have you ever been out of the house? It's when someone just gets that, not proper dick.
not
just
a
a little,
slap.
like, get a drink in.
Just an East End term for slap is a club.
It's not a full-on kicking.
No, OK. I think the most charming story, personally, the nicest story, and thus the winner of that round, was Danny Wallace!
Danny Wallace!
Sean Walsh, what would you like to talk about? I wanted to ask the guys and yourself about what your worst injury is.
OK, Rufus Hound, your worst injury?
Beer and pizza. the fundamentals of who we are as men. And inevitably, the call to beer and pizza is one that we cannot resist. That comes from our teenage years. Yeah. So it was one fateful evening in Farnham, having enjoyed all of the beer in the house and a few slices of pizza, that I decided to bust out my party trick. The party trick is very simply, you take some lighter fluid and you get a pool like that in your hand, a little bit of lighter fluid there, and you set light to the lighter fluid. Now, what happens is that the lighter fluid, being very burny, burns, but it takes quite a long time for that liquid to burn off and it to burn your hand.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can let it burn for a few seconds, then you take the other hand and you do that and it extinguishes the flame.
Well, that's
right?
good.
Yeah, it's great. Works every time. You can do it as many times as you like, no problem. Unless what you decide is to each time really kick it up a notch. Because people have seen it once, how are you going to better it? So the pool starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and each time, bang, it's out. People are like, you've got to show my mate Jim. Jim! Jim, got to see this! Got to see this, right? I decide, how do we really fire this bad boy up? I'll tell you how. 2 hands, right? So 2 hands and a pool of lighter fluid on the inside that's literally 1.5 inches deep. Mark put the lighter fluid in the hands and I went, right, now light it. And it was at this point Mark chickened out. So I've now got the lighter fluid in my hands. I'm saying, just light it. And he's like, no, I really don't want to. At which point my mate Steve goes, oh, well, I'll light it. I'm like, OK, you light it. And then Mark goes, no, I'll light it. This is a conversation that basically goes on for about 90 seconds. 90 seconds in which the lighter fluid is seeping through the gaps in my hands round to the back of my hands. So, when eventually, after 1.5 minutes of holding a ball of lighter fluid, somebody lights it, when I pull my hands apart thinking that the lighter fluid will drop to the ground, instead, it ignites the back and the front of my hands. Right? So, literally, everything that is my hands is on fire. Have you ever tried beating out your own on-fire hand?
With another on-fire hand?
With another on-fire hand, because every time you hit one way, the flames come back through the other way and like that side.
Well, people are thinking, this is a good trick.
Yeah. As I screamed. So the only thing I could do, and I promise you this is true, I ran down the end of his garden trying to beat my hands out on the wet grass, right? As I looked up and I saw a pond. And I literally took my on-fire hands and put them out in a pond in a cartoon way. It actually went...
We have to say, it's important to say legally, you know, don't try that at home. Unless there's a pond nearby,
yeah,
you know, or something.
Yeah.
Unless you've got like an
I think maybe even go one step further with that story, which would be, if you've heard that story about how bad an idea it was, and you're sat there thinking, I want to try that, kill yourself. Because you're a fucking moron. And we don't need more people like you in our gene pool. If you've listened to that and thought, oh, maybe I'll set my hands on fire, end it now. Get a bottle of vodka, some pills, put on some Radiohead and fucking end it.
Could I... Don't try that. Charlie, your worst injury, please.
Mine isn't burn-related, but it was fireworks night, the night I did it. I was making corned beef hash for a party we were having, and with corned beef, there's a key. They've helpfully taken it off. There's normally a key and I undid it a bit with the key, which no, I can't do that. You undid it, and then the key came off. I do sort of think a food can't be that good for you if you need a key to open it. I don't know what they do now when you don't need a key. Do they put, like, a password on it? You say a password into it. Is it, like, a chip and pin, like, get your corned beef out, or something like that? I don't know. But anyway, the key came off, and it was, like, hanging half open. And I thought, oh, it's all right, it's nearly there. I'll pull it off. I'll just rip it open, I'll pull it off. And I went to do that, and which hand is this hand, and completely sliced my thumb open. Massive, and it was wasn't hanging off, but it was like open. You could see a bit of bone, and I was like, oh, I was on my own. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. Corned beef-related injury. No one's thinking that's classy. I've still got a bit of a scar if anyone would like to see it. There it is. And but that was I thought I was gonna lose my thumb or something, but
Someone said to
it was
me,
fine.
Someone said to me, you can either eat corned beef or you can have your hand ripped open to the bone by a can of corned beef, I reckon I'd go for the latter.
Well, that's a shame.
Out of the two.
You never had corned beef
Richard,
hash?
you're such a foodie.
Corned beef sandwich with a bit of pickle. Oh, lovely. Oh.
Sure.
When I was at school, someone had told me that if you cut yourself there...
Oh, that's where I cut myself, with corned beef.
Right.
Anyway, carry on. We'll find out. Do you turn into a knob?
They said you die. But it's OK.
Maybe you do, young man.
They said if you cut yourself there, you'll die. And so, years later, at secondary school, I think I did that with a ruler. So like, and I cut myself a little bit there. There was a little cut. And I thought, oh my God, I'm about to die. So I got up, and apparently I turned green and then fainted. That's it. No, I don't really get it. It's weird.
That is more pathetic than the polyp. Come on.
Oh, no, it is.
That
It is. Way more pathetic.
Death by shatterproof ruler.
So, sorry, you've been through... How old are you now? How old are you?
24.
So you've been through 24 years, and the worst injury you've had is a little ruler
It's
cut.
odd, isn't it? Because I sometimes I think that maybe I'm like Bruce Willis in Unbreakable.
Right.
That maybe you can't hurt me.
Let's find out.
Don't bring it up again, he'll get turned on.
Yeah, open that.
I've got a follow-up question then to Sean's question.
Yeah.
Are there things that you believed up until reasonably recently that you now realise were ridiculous?
I thought fellatio, and this is true, I thought fellatio was just a posh chocolate.
In some ways it is.
Yeah. But like, 'cause it sounds like a posh chocolate. You say Ferrero Rocher, yes please. Fellatio, yes please.
That ambassador's reception would be a lot more fun. We need to pick a winner. We need to pick a winner from that round. I think it has to go to Firehand. Do you like the worst hero from Heroes?
The Human Torch. Flame on. Flame off. Flame off! Flame off!
Rufus Hound.
I think what's the most embarrassing thing? Most embarrassing thing
it just happened to you.
Apart
Apart from wearing orange and yellow T-shirts. What would tell us yours?
we were actually, I was in a group called Corky and the Juice Pigs, comedy act, and we were coming back from... It's a real name! So we were driving back from the Montreal Comedy Festival in our big van, which we used to call Jesus because it never broke down and always started in the winter, and it never failed us. And I'd been ill the whole weekend, and I had projectile vomiting, and it was coming out both ends at the same time. And it's about a 5-hour drive back to Toronto. And so we had to pull over on the highway because I just couldn't keep it in anymore. And so I jumped out of the van and I ran down the boulevard into the trees. And so the cars on the highway couldn't see me through the trees. And then I bursting, dropped my shorts. And all I had to clean myself up was my T-shirts, pull my T-shirt off. So I'm standing there with my trousers around my ankles, wiping myself off after vomiting and shitting. And I turned around. I was on the 17th hole of a golf course. And there was a guy like
Do you know your most sort of embarrassing moment?
Couple of months ago, I took a guy out in a restaurant. I really wanted to impress him because we're doing some business together. So we're having something to eat, Italian, of course.
Like tonight?
No, this is not Italian. We were having something to eat, and all of a sudden, this woman comes in, which I knew from before. And this woman, absolutely crazy. You know, the craziest woman you can have. So as soon as she comes in, I turn to the guy and say, oh, fuck. I say, I can't believe she's here. She's going to go on and on. This bitch, I mean, everywhere in the world, here has to come in. Well, he stood up. He said, can I please introduce you to my wife? And of course,
it's appalling.
That was really bad. You know, I really didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Or you either make a joke or you balls it out, don't you? And if anything, you sort of make you go even further. You go, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah, horrible, yeah.
Well, maybe not punch her. That would be too far.
No, I couldn't come up with anything. I just, could say, well, are you going to divorce very soon, or she's going to be there forever? And then we moved on. It was horrible.
My most embarrassing moment. Oh, I know. I presented I had to go stand-up as part of my radio show last year at Edinburgh, and it was a bloody nightmare. And I only did it once. I went on off the back of Reginald D. Hunter's audience. So it's 11 p.m. He's got 400 people in the Udderbelly, a big venue in Edinburgh. And I was live on the radio. I thought it'd be good to do it live on the radio as well.
But you thought it would be good to do it.
It'd be a good idea to someone else's audience.
Yeah.
Live on the radio, 11 at night, Edinburgh, 400 of them drunk. I've never tried stand-up before, so I get out there, and I got completely defeated by it, confidence-wise. I forgot where I was, forgot my words, I'm repeating myself. And I know I've got this sort of joke-come story about an abattoir. So it's abattoir, I know. And I'm saying to the audience, I'm describing this train within this abattoir that takes the animals on their final journey to their death. And a woman at the back shouted out, "Are we all on that train now?"
It's a great heckle. It's a great heckle.
I think it's a brilliant joke, that.
Yeah, but it wasn't my act. That's not part of it. It's fine.
Well, who cares? But it was great for the woman to say that.
Do you know,
Otherwise,
it's nice to have a laugh, isn't it, in a bad stand-up routine? And I actually, half of me thought that's mortifyingly embarrassing. The other half of me thought, oh, that is funny. So I did laugh. And then I got nervous. I thought, right, I've lost the audience. So I said, okay. I said, well, just two words, just two more things. And someone shouted out, "Make it one." It was, honestly, even talking about it now, I get a bit nervous. It still haunts me. Charlie, yours?
I worked in Quick Save, which used to exist, which was a supermarket.
Yeah, you could end the story there.
Yeah, that's quite embarrassing, yeah. I was working with this woman.
Sorry, I'm slow. I just got it.
That's a fucking great line.
No, so I was working in Quick Save, and been working there a couple of weeks and having a laugh with this sort of middle-aged woman who I was getting on with, and we'd always have a laugh like most days, lovely. And anyway, we had this uniform that sort of was neck high, and one day she didn't wear the uniform; she wore a shirt, and we were having a Kit Kat at break time, and having this Kit Kat, lovely. And I leant over to her. I went, "Oh, you've got a bit of Kit Kat on your chest, and it was a mole."
Embarrassing thing your parents ever did to you. Sean Walsh.
Every time my dad called me in for dinner, we'd be playing football at the top of the road, headers and volleys. You remember headers and volleys, obviously, yeah. But the house was at the bottom of the road and we were playing at the top of the road. And then my dad would come out and he'd only be wearing pants, right? And red pants as well. My dad, he doesn't look very healthy. He's an Irish bloke, he's got no teeth. It looked like Mowgli had turned to crack. And sometimes I think he would get undressed before he came out. Like, he'd make a point. And I would see him before he had said anything. So it's a moment you go, oh, no, here he comes. This is it. And then all my friends knew what was coming. Just standing there, oh, God, like that. There you go. Sean! And everyone in Brighton would turn around and look. Because I lived in Brighton, not because everyone in Brighton has really good hearing. People start looking out their windows for the curtains, and then he'd go, he wouldn't call it dinner, or supper, or tea, he wouldn't call any of that. He'd call it din-dins. He'd go, din-dins! And he'd do this, din-dins! Din-dins! This is how my dad ate, din-dins! And then I went home and cried.
Perfect, thank you, Sean.
Yeah, it's all right.
I feel as though I know your dad now. Mine involves my parents appearing on the 10 o'clock news, the Trevor McDonald 10 o'clock news programme. I was loath to bring this up, but you might recall I lost a job once, and it was...
No, I know. What happened?
Wasn't it you drank too much Coke or something?
I presented a kids' TV show, and I lost my job for habitual lateness. And I was always late because I'd boshed a load of drugs. And let's move on. Al Murray, yours.
As I've grown older,
yeah,
and I've got an 11-year-old, nearly 12-year-old, I've come to realise that actually my dad wasn't embarrassing and he was being funny. And the thing is to have a sense of humour about it. actually. And when you're 14, you are an arsehole. It's what it boils down to. And all the time you're thinking, Dad, you're an arsehole. And it isn't him, it's you.
Yeah, I totally
And that's
agree.
life's greatest sort of joke, is that you then turn out just like him.
Yeah.
And my dad used to do stuff that, on reflection, actually, he was amusing himself. If I had friends around staying over, he'd come and ring a bell for breakfast and wake everyone up. he'd literally, the door would fly open, he'd ring this bell, going, "It's breakfast!" like that. He'd sit there and he'd go, "Well, in all honesty, I think really it's time to bring back hanging." And all my friends would all go, "Shit, your dad's a fascist." But actually, he was trying to get us to argue with him and stuff like that. It was all a thing he was doing rather than it was embarrassing because he was being embarrassing.
Dan, yours, please.
My dad's probably most of it. He's a really sort of emotionless guy. Like, the only time he's ever happy is when he's, like, being a dick. Like, he knows he's being a dick. And I was 15 years old, so about 2 weeks ago. And my mates were there, and we were going to go out. I think it was like a high school disco or something. So I was about to go out, and I was trying to be the ladies' man and everything, so I sprayed myself with deodorant. Just about to leave, my dad popped his head in the living room and just went, You smell like a tart. Right? just as a sort of little dig. And I couldn't let him win. My mates were there, and I had to look like the funnier one. And but I was young, and it wasn't particularly good, so I went, "Yeah, well, you smell like a twat." Bitch! And then he said, in front of my 4 best mates, "At least I know what a twat smells like."
So your dad's generally unemotional.
Yeah.
How do you think he would perform on television?
Well, he's been on television.
Well, he's going to be on television now, because he sent us this message.
When Daniel was about 12 or 13, he used to play a lot of World of Warcraft online. And Leslie, that's his mum, was a bit concerned of his online safety. So one evening after my work, she popped in the office and one of the guys there was playing World of Warcraft. So she told Dave to instant message him. So he sent him a message saying, "Why aren't you doing your homework?" To which Daniel replied, "What's it to you, you fucking pedo?"
Just to be clear, you said to your mum, "What's it to you, you fucking pedo?"
I didn't know it was my mum, right? And then she phones me up and goes, "Oh, I'm a paedophile, am I?" Oh, sure.